During the holy month of Ramadan, that special nighttime prayer, Taraweeh, is, a huge deal for so many Muslims. But a question that often comes up is, how should women participate? Well, today we're going to explore one specific religious interpretation that lays out some really clear guidelines, answering key questions about a woman's role in these prayers.
So, to really get our heads around this ruling, we've got to start with the specific questions it's trying to answer, right? It's all about defining what this particular school of thought considers the correct practice.
This ruling really zooms in on three key scenarios. First up, can a woman actually lead the prayer as the imam? Second, can she pray in a group that's led by an adult man? And third, what if the male leader isn't an adult yet? A minor? Let's see what the answer is. And you know what? The source gives a super direct answer to all three of those questions. And this answer, well, it forms the entire basis for its argument. The answer to all three questions is a pretty straightforward no. According to this take on Islamic law, or Sharia, none of these practices are permitted. They're seen as going against the traditional religious framework. So to be absolutely crystal clear, this ruling prohibits women from leading the prayer, from praying behind an adult man, and from praying behind a non-adult boy. From this perspective, there's really no ambiguity, no gray area when it comes to women and group prayer. Okay, so if praying in a group is off the table, according to this view, what's the alternative? Well, the text doesn't just leave you hanging with a bunch of don'ts. It also provides a guide for what it considers the proper way. This interpretation recommends a pretty specific four-step approach. First, the prayer should be performed at home. Second, it should be the full 20 units, or rakats. Third, these are done in sets of two. And here's the big one. They must be performed individually, not as part of a group. So what's the reasoning behind this? The core argument actually comes from comparing Taraweeh to other types of prayer. The logic basically goes like this. For the 5 daily obligatory prayers, the fard prayers, praying in a congregation isn't required for women. So the argument follows that if it's not required for these more fundamental prayers, it can't be a requirement for a recommended prayer, a sunnah prayer, like Taraweeh. See the logic? This all really boils down to one core principle that's stated loud and clear in the source text. The text states it just about as plainly as you can. Congregation, jama'at, is only for men, not for women. Wow! That single sentence is the bedrock of the entire ruling. From this specific viewpoint, group prayer is a practice designated exclusively for men. And to wrap it all up, the source labels congregational tawhery for women a newly invented method, suggesting it's a modern change to an old tradition. The text is careful to emphasize that women absolutely should pray. The act of worship is crucial, but it must be done individually, not in a group. So we've just walked through one very specific, and let's be honest, very clear-cut interpretation of religious practice. It's a powerful reminder of how a single principle, in this case, who can pray in a group, can lead to totally different experiences of the same faith. It really makes you think, doesn't it? How many other interpretations are out there shaping the lives and practices of millions?